So there is woman, a young woman named Lily Phillips. Maybe you've heard about her by now. Um, there is a guy who, I guess he does documentaries, and he did one with her, and she is an OnlyFans model, and she had this goal to sleep with 100 men in 24 hours. So he documented, I guess, her journey leading up to this feat, if you will. And it just made me think of, because I watched the documentary and I just felt sad for her. Um, just looking at her at times, in the documentary, I could see just despite what she was saying and making it sound like, she loves what she does and all these things, you could still see the pain in her eyes. And at the end of the documentary, after she, achieved her goal, I guess, of sleeping with 100 men, um, in whatever amount in 24 hours. On this guy, his name is Joshua or Josh Peters. And so at the end of the documentary, she's crying. So her assistant had told him, had him leave while she was doing the men. And him and his videographer came back, and she gets out the shower, and he's talking to her and asking her, how it went, how she feels, and she just started crying. And she claimed that she was crying because she felt like maybe she disappointed some of her fans that, she slept with, because some of them came a long way and weren't satisfied, because I think the thing was they only had 5 minutes. Each guy had only 5 minutes with her. And some of them were like, upset because they didn't finish. And it's just sad because even in that, she doesn't understand that they are predators and they are taking advantage of her. Even if she, seemingly was a willing participant, she's a willing participant because of her pain, whatever it is that she went through. And so, because to me, that's just not natural for any woman to want anything like that. And when we are like that, it's because of some sort of trauma that we're blocking out, that we are reliving, or whatever it is. But, and then after that, after she was done crying about that, um, he was like, he did like a voiceover thing, and he is saying how, even after she cried, the next thing made me scratch my head. And then he was showing a clip from her OnlyFans where she was saying in February she's going to be the first woman to sleep with 1,000 men in a day. So It's just really sad. And it's just sad. And I know people deal with trauma in different ways. Some do it by chasing more pain, seeking pleasure is something that people do. And I think I made a video called The Narcissist Echo, talking about how narc victims can take on the mind of the narc um, after abuse because the narc steals their voice essentially. And their personality, their mind is hijacked. And they do things they think they want, but it's actually the desires of the narc that they are living out, the narcissist that they are living out. So, and a lot of times when we've been through a lot of things, when we have trauma, we tend to think that time in and of itself will heal all of our wounds. And it seems that way and it sounds nice, but it's not always true. Maybe for like minor pains, like, I don't know, like a breakup, time will heal that wound. But for the deeper wounds, it just requires a little more work. And it's not that time has healed the wound, it's that we're blocking out the pain. And that's just, what it looks like she's doing according to my God given discernment. Um, and the word tells us, and I know another thing that people will do is convince themselves that they're empowering themselves by doing stuff like that and that they're in control, but they're not actually in control. And it's obviously not empowerment. The word tells us that you can't abuse your own body and love yourself. So it is important to face our trauma because the brain, while we think that it's time that's healing our wounds, sometimes it's actually the brain that is storing it away to protect us because it's just too painful to face. But that's the reason why we have to face it. Otherwise, we do end up doing things like this, maybe not to this extreme that Lily did, but we end up doing harmful things and we convince ourselves it isn't harmful. We convince ourselves that we like it, that we want it, that it makes us happy, that it makes us feel powerful. But really, it's like the evil spirits, the evil energy that enters through trauma wounds, it's them that feels powerful. So, because nobody, I'm not convinced that anybody really, truly wants that for themselves. Even if it feels soothing to the person doing it, there's a reason why it feels that way. And I saw some of the comments under the video, the documentary, and there was one that said something like, I don't know how people don't think this isn't self-harm. And it is self-harm. Sometimes people deliberately self-harm, and other times, because they're trauma blocking, they are inadvertently harming themselves. And the other thing it made me think of is there's this song in a commercial that comes on for a grocery store. And my son likes the song. Every time it comes on, he like turns his head. And as a writer, I like it too. I like the lyrics. It's from a band called America, and it's like, this is for all the lonely people thinking that life has passed them by. Don't give up until you drink from the silver cup and ride that highway in the sky. And basically, it's true because what it essentially is saying, and I hope you hear me, is you're not dead, so don't give up. You can heal, there's ways to heal. Art therapy helps some people, journaling helps, working with a therapist, whatever you need, crying out to God, whatever you need to do, you're not dead, so don't give up.